I didn't know it yet, but the next question would cost me the one thing I had never dared to lose. If I said no, Alex would stay my best friend. If I said yes, nothing would ever be the same again. The mistletoe hung above us like a quiet dare, and suddenly friendship wasn't enough anymore. The silence stretched longer than it should have, not the comfortable kind, the one Alex and I had shared 1,000 times before, sitting side by side, doing nothing, saying nothing, feeling full anyway. This silence was different. It pressed against my chest, loud enough that I could hear my own heartbeat, slow and unsteady, like it was trying to warn me. I became acutely aware of everything at once. The faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, the soft glow of the Christmas lights reflecting off the window, the snow drifting lazily outside as if the world had decided to move more slowly tonight. Alex shifted her weight slightly. I felt it more than I saw it. She glanced up. The mistletoe hung above us, simple, unassuming, something I had put up out of habit more than intention, a tradition, a joke, a decoration that had never meant anything before. Until now. She looked at it, then back at me. Her expression wasn't playful. There was no teasing smile, no casual humor to soften the moment. Instead, she looked careful, almost fragile, vulnerable in a way I had never seen in the 6 years I'd known her. "Jennifer," she said softly. The sound of my name on her lips sent a shiver through me. She rarely used my full name. It usually came out as Jen, warm and familiar. Hearing Jennifer felt intentional, serious. "I don't want to misread this," she continued. My stomach twisted, because misreading this wouldn't just be awkward. Misreading this would mean losing her, and losing Alex was the one thing I had never allowed myself to imagine. I thought about all the times we had misread each other over the years, or maybe all the times we had read each other perfectly and chosen not to acknowledge it. The late-night conversations that drifted too close to something intimate and then backed away at the last second. The way she always noticed when I was overwhelmed before I said a word. The way I instinctively reached for her in crowded rooms. The way no one else had ever felt this constant, this steady, this safe. Fear rose quickly, sharp and familiar. "Then don't," I said quietly. My voice surprised me, steadier than I felt. "Ask." Her breath caught. I saw it, the slight hitch in her chest, the way her fingers curled reflexively at her side, as if grounding herself. She hesitated, and in that pause 1,000 thoughts collided inside me. Every excuse I'd ever used rose at once. "She's just my friend. I don't feel that way about women. This closeness is normal. This doesn't mean anything." Each one desperate to protect me from what came next. But beneath all of that, beneath the fear, the confusion, the very real risk of breaking something beautiful, there was a truth I could no longer ignore. I didn't want her to step back. "Can I kiss you?" she asked. Time slowed in a way that felt almost unreal. The world narrowed to that single question. Not the mistletoe, not the snow, not the lights, just her voice, and the way my heart seemed to stutter in response. I understood suddenly how fragile this moment was. If I said no, things would stay the same, safe, familiar, intact. If I said yes, everything would change. And the most terrifying realization of all was this: I didn't want things to stay the same anymore. Yes, I said. The word came out softly, but it carried more truth than anything I'd said in years. She didn't move right away. Instead, she searched my face, as if making sure I wasn't answering out of pressure or politeness, or fear of disappointing her. She was giving me space, an exit. I didn't take it. So she leaned in. Her lips met mine gently, not tentative, not unsure, but reverent, like she understood the weight of what we were doing. The kiss wasn't rushed, it wasn't clumsy or experimental. It felt intentional, like something that had been waiting patiently for years, quietly building beneath the surface while we pretended not to notice. Her lips were warm, soft, familiar in a way that startled me. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, my breath hitching, my hands tightening at my sides, my chest flooding with a warmth I had never felt before, not like this, not with anyone. When she pulled back, her forehead rested gently against mine. For a moment, we just breathed together. "Merry Christmas," she whispered. I laughed softly, breathless. "Merry Christmas." We didn't kiss again right away. Instead, we stood there, suspended in the aftermath, stunned by how right it felt, by how natural. There was no regret, no panic, only a quiet certainty that something honest had finally been acknowledged. "I've thought about this," Alex admitted, her voice low. "Me too. I just didn't know what it meant." And that was the truth. I had spent years mislabeling feelings because they didn't fit the narrative I thought I was supposed to follow, calling longing loyalty, calling attraction comfort, calling love friendship. We moved back to the couch, sitting closer than ever before, our knees touched. Neither of us moved away. She reached for my hand slowly, giving me time to pull back if I wanted. I didn't. I squeezed her fingers instead, feeling the faint tremor there, proof that she was just as affected as I was. "I don't want to rush this," she said. "Me neither," I replied. And for the first time, I realized how much safety there was in that sentence. We talked about fear, about timing, about how easy it is to hide inside friendship when you're afraid of wanting more. We talked about the nights we had almost crossed this line and hadn't, about the excuses we'd both made, about how neither of us wanted to be the one to risk everything. Outside, the snow kept falling. Midnight came and went unnoticed. Eventually, the words faded, replaced by quiet. And in that quiet, she leaned in again, this time without asking. The second kiss was different, slower, deeper, more certain. I woke up with Alex's arm around me. For a split second, panic fluttered in my chest. Sharp, instinctive, the kind that arrives before logic can catch up. My body tensed, my mind racing ahead to consequences I hadn't fully named yet. Then I breathed, and calm settled in. The room was quiet. Morning light filtered softly through the curtains, pale and forgiving. Snow still covered the streets outside, muffling the city, making everything feel slower, suspended. Alex was asleep beside me, her face relaxed, her arm heavy and warm across my waist. Her breathing was steady, unguarded. There was no tension in her body, no sign of regret or hesitation. Nothing felt wrong. That realization startled me more than the panic had. I lay there for a long moment, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft rhythm of her breath. I tried to locate discomfort, guilt, shame, fear, anything that would signal I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. There was nothing. Only a quiet sense of rightness I didn't yet trust. Carefully, I shifted, not wanting to wake her. Her arm tightened reflexively, pulling me closer, as if even asleep she wasn't ready to let go. The gesture was unconscious, intimate in a way that made my chest ache. I had shared beds before, with men, with partners I was supposed to want. I had woken up next to them feeling neutral, sometimes relieved, sometimes vaguely disconnected. This was different. When Alex finally stirred, she blinked awake slowly, eyes adjusting to the light. For a brief moment, confusion crossed her face. Then memory settled in, and something soft replaced it. "Morning," she murmured. "Morning," I replied, my voice quieter than usual. She smiled, not playful, not teasing, just real. Then she noticed the way I was watching her. "You okay?" she asked gently. I considered lying, minimizing, pretending this was easy. "I think so," I said instead. "I just didn't expect to feel this calm." She nodded, like that made sense to her. Me neither. We didn't rush to fill the space with jokes or distractions. We lay there a little longer, letting the morning exist around us, letting ourselves exist inside it. Eventually, reality crept in the way it always does, not loudly, but persistently. Coffee. We moved around the kitchen with a new awareness, careful but not awkward. Every brush of hands felt amplified. Every glance lingered a second longer than before. It felt like learning a familiar space with slightly altered gravity. Over coffee, steam rising between us, I finally asked the question that had been hovering since I opened my eyes. "What does this mean?" I asked quietly. I wasn't just asking about us, I was asking about me. Alex studied me for a moment, not answering right away. She didn't rush. She never did when something mattered. Finally, she smiled gently. "It means we're honest now," she said. The simplicity of the answer made my throat tighten. Honest. I had spent so many years believing I was honest, with others, with myself. I'd told the truth as I understood it. But sitting there, across from her, I realized how often honesty is limited by what we allow ourselves to see. The days after Christmas felt surreal, like walking through a familiar city after a snowfall. Everything recognizable, but altered, quieter, sharper, more exposed. Every interaction with Alex carried new weight. Texts felt warmer, layered with meaning. A simple "did you eat?" made my chest tighten. Silences felt louder, charged with things we didn't yet know how to say. And it wasn't just with her. I started noticing women, really noticing them. The barista at the coffee shop, the way she smiled, the warmth in her eyes. A woman jogging past me in the park, the confidence in her stride. A character in a movie, the way my attention lingered on her without effort. I realized slowly and uncomfortably how long I had been looking away from myself. I thought back on my past, on relationships that looked right on paper, but felt oddly distant in practice, on affection that felt expected rather than instinctive, on intimacy that never quite reached me in the way it seemed to reach others. I had always assumed I was just less passionate, more reserved, wired differently. Now I wondered if I had simply been listening to the wrong signal. One night, a few days later, the thought became too heavy to carry alone. Alex and I were sitting on the couch, knees touching, not even watching the show playing in front of us. My heart was pounding, the words pressing urgently against my ribs. "I think there's something I need to say," I said. She muted the TV immediately, her full attention on me. "I don't think I'm straight," I said. The words landed in the room with surprising softness. Alex didn't flinch. She didn't look shocked or uncertain or cautious. She just nodded. "I know," she said. The relief was immediate and overwhelming. Tears blurred my vision before I could stop them, my body reacting faster than my pride could intervene. I covered my face with my hands, embarrassed by the intensity of it. She moved closer without hesitation, pulling me into her arms. "It's okay. You're okay," she murmured. I cried then, not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly, steadily. Crying for the years I hadn't understood myself, for the pressure I had placed on myself to fit into a story that never quite fit, for the fear of what this truth might change, and for the strange gratitude I had finally allowed myself to see it. We didn't rush anything after that. No labels, no announcements, no explanations demanded. Just truth. We learned each other slowly in this new way, careful not to outrun my understanding of myself. Alex never pushed, never tried to define things for me. She let me arrive in my own time. Still, fear lingered. Late at night, when she wasn't there, doubts crept in. What if I'm wrong? What if this is just about her? What if I wake up one day and realize I've misunderstood everything? And underneath all of that, what if this ruins everything? Not just us, but friendships, family expectations, the future I had assumed would unfold a certain way. I hadn't told anyone else yet. The thought of saying it out loud to someone who didn't already know felt terrifying. Naming something makes it real in a way thinking never does. Some nights I lay awake replaying moments from my past, searching for proof, for certainty, for something that would tell me this wasn't just a phase or confusion or wishful thinking. Other nights, I remembered the way I felt when Alex touched me. Grounded, present, awake. And slowly, I began to understand something important. Certainty wasn't coming all at once, but truth was. And even though fear still lingered, there was something stronger growing beneath it. A quiet resolve. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't forcing myself to feel something I didn't. I was finally allowing myself to feel what I did.